Hi there, McKenna this morning with a message on the wisdom of words. I want to encourage you that the ones that you speak make a difference in your life. So I want to talk about this woman. She was a Shumanite. She was a kind woman. And so the man of God, as he was going about his business, he would pass by her city. And because she was a righteous woman, she talked to her husband and she said, "We have this man of God with his servants. They go through here on a regular basis. Let's entertain them in our home and bless them." And she was that kind of a woman. So they started giving him food. And it became regular to this man of God that whenever he would be in this town, he knew that he had a place that he could stop and get food and rest. So this continued. And then um, eventually, as time went, this woman again realized the man of God would come to do things in the city and he didn't have somewhere to rest. So again, she approached her husband and she said, "Can we prepare a place in the upper room where, when the man of God is coming to do his business, he can have a place to rest his head?" So she was a woman who who loved God and understood blessings. She understood how God works. You give and it's given to you. You respect the servants of God and God blesses you. So she knew this. This woman did not have a child. Because of her kindness, as she continued to care and to help the man of God and his people, one day the prophet Elisha was touched in his spirit as he saw how this woman was constantly helping them. She wasn't asking for anything back. She just kept being there for them, serving them, feeding them, making sure they had a good place to sleep. And one day Elisha said, "This woman has been so kind to us. What can we do for her?" And his servant who had observed told the prophet of God. He said, "She doesn't have children." And so the prophet said, "Tell her to come." And he prophesied to her and he said, "By next year, at such a time, you will have a child." This woman actually thought that was the biggest joke. She had tried everything, nothing worked. But the time came just as Elisha had told her, and she had a child. After they left, she got pregnant and she had a son. And then as the son continues to grow, one day he got sick and was sent to the mother. And as he came to the mother, he died. The mom took this child's body and laid him in bed. She closed the door and she sent to her husband to ask for a donkey. It was at the wrong time of the season. So her husband asks, he sends his servants and he says, "Why are you going to him today? It is neither moon nor Sabbath." And she said, "It is well." So this woman sends and asks for a donkey. She's going to the prophet, but she's not telling the husband why. When the husband inquires, she just says, "It is well." He sends the donkey and she goes. Along the way, anybody who asked her, even when the man of God saw her from a distance, he sent his servants. to go and inquire, why is she coming? This is unusual. She says, it is well. Until she got to him, and then she had a conversation with him directly. And even when he tried to send his servant, she refused. She declined. She said in her spirit, this is beyond your servant. This is a you issue. So the man of God comes with her and he goes and heals the child. That's just the story in a snapshot. So we see this woman, even though her son was dead, she doesn't tell anybody that her son had died. There's wisdom in her words. She says, it is well. She had faith in her spirit. Sometimes we say things that we don't need to be saying. And when you are going through difficult times, it's easier to want to talk and talk about your problems to people. The question is, why are we saying the things we are saying? Why are we talking about our problems? Why are we telling somebody what our problem is? That's a valid question that I'm asking you to weigh your heart and ask yourself, why am I talking about it? Because when you ask yourself that question, you realize that most of the times we talk about our problems because there's that lonely feeling of suffering where we want other people to help us carry the burden. It's not about being in denial. There's a difference between being in denial and having wisdom of words. Having wisdom of words is where you pay attention to Holy Spirit. And there are many times Holy Spirit of God will speak to your heart and say, don't say this. Don't talk about it. But oftentimes we override that voice of Holy Spirit and we talk about it anyway. Sometimes the problems that we talk about, sometimes we talk to our friends, not knowing those friends are your best enemies. They were just waiting to know what your issue is, and you not know that until it's too late. So it's important to have wisdom of words. So this woman says, it is well. She the servant of God sends a message to her. She comes and says, it is well. She says the same to her husband. What do you think would have happened if the husband had sent the child to her because he was sick, and the son comes and he dies? What do you think would have happened if the husband asked, why are you going to the man of God? And she said, I'm going to him because our son is dead and I want him to come and pray for our son so that he can live. What do you think would have happened if she said that? Her husband would have said, you are absolutely crazy. You don't need to call the man of God. This has never been done. Let's just go and bury our son. He is dead. Let's go bury him. All the people that she was meeting with, and she was saying, it is well. She never stopped for 1 minute to tell any of the people what was happening. Wisdom of words. Can you imagine if anybody knew that she had left a dead child closed in the room, and in her mind, she was going to find the man of God so that he could come and bring this son back to life? Any person would have thought she's crazy. She lost her mind. She's grieving. Let's take her. She's in denial. But in her spirit, she had faith. See, she goes to the man of God, to Elisha, and she says, "Did I ask you for a child? You came and you told me that I was going to have a child. I was fine. I had given up. I was not even trying to have a child anymore. I had already given up. Why did you come to arouse in my spirit a hunger that I had already forgotten about? I wasn't looking for a child. You came and told me that I would have a child without even my expectation of that. So, how can that happen? And then now, after having this child, after loving him, after getting familiar with what it feels like to have a child, then he dies. That's not fair to me because I had already gotten used to living without a child. But she doesn't say these things to people. So, my question to you today is have wisdom of words. It's not everything that is going on in your life that is for everybody's ears. Have wisdom of words. It's not denial. Sometimes you can be in denial, and denial is real, and denial is not a good thing. Denial is refusing to accept something that is happening is actually happening. This woman was not in denial that her child had died. That was not the situation. She knew he had died. As a matter of fact, it was the reason that she was not talking about it. She didn't want anybody to find out what she knew because the Spirit of God was giving her guidance. So it's important to pray in your life that God gives you guidance into the things that are going on in your life. Have wisdom of words. You don't need to say everything to everybody. I've seen many times in my life where the Lord is doing something in my life, and Holy Spirit is very specific. Don't talk about it. It's not time yet. One of those times was when I was going through extreme suffering as a single mom. My son was very sick. He was constantly in the hospital. He could be in the hospital for a month. I was a single mom trying to survive, trying to hold onto a job. And when the Lord brought my husband into my life, I had seen other things happen. I had seen how people that claimed to be friends destroyed relationships in my life. Why? Because I was suffering and I was telling them about my pain and my struggles, only to find out they were laughing at me. They were making fun of me. It was painful, but I learned. So when my husband came along, God said, don't say anything to anybody. Don't talk about this. This time just keep it to yourself. And I kept it to myself. And many people didn't know that my husband was in my life until I was actually married. Why? Because the Lord said, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. And when some of the people that pretended to be my friends found out, they got mad at me. Why didn't you tell us? They got really mad at me. You know why they got mad at me? Because they didn't want me to get married. They didn't think I deserved it. And their mission was to keep me down. And this one snuck on them. They didn't know until it was too late. They couldn't do anything about it. But can I share something? They actually still tried. They were trying to get to my husband. They were trying to talk. How can we give us his number? Give us his contact. So I'm sharing this because I look back and it's shocking the things that can happen if we don't have wisdom of words. It's not everything that is happening in your life that the people in your life are excited about. So I share this. Women, be careful of other women. Women, be careful of other women. Generally, just be careful when you are doing things, when the Lord is doing something in your life. It's not meant for everybody's ears. Be very careful about who you are sharing with, what God is doing in your life. Be very careful who you are talking to. As a matter of fact, most of the time, avoid talking about things. So one of the things that the Lord taught me and has continued to teach me with growth and with maturity in my spiritual journey is that the reality of God is so real. God is right there. And I have learned more and more to have conversations with God. The need for talking with people about what's going on in my life has become less with age, with maturity. The need to talk about what God is doing in my life has become less because this woman, she doesn't go broadcasting that her child is dead. She doesn't go broadcasting what her prayers are. She wanted the man of God to come and revive her son, but she didn't go talking about it to people. So I want to encourage you today to have wisdom of words. Not everything that is happening in your life is for everybody's ears. I wanted to encourage you with that. Otherwise, do have a blessed rest of the day. Be discerning, be wise as much as possible. You don't need to be talking about everything that is going on in your life. Wait for the appointed time. Wait for the appointed time. And even at the appointed time, ask God, who should you be talking to? Who should you not be talking to? Because those things are important. Pray for wisdom of words. It will make a big difference in your life. God